Citizens of the universe, children of Mother Earth, brothers and sisters. This is Anwar Fazal speaking to you from the Right Livelihood College, speaking to you from Penang, Malaysia. Assalamu alaikum, may peace be upon you. I start with the word peace because peace is central to our civilization. It's central to civilized countries, it's central to civilized communities, and is central to civilized human beings. Peace itself has three dimensions: peace with yourself, peace with other people, and peace with Mother Earth. If we had an intergalactic commission looking at how we, the human beings, are performing as parents of the earth, you can say a test on planethood, that's like parenthood and motherhood. Yeah. What could they probably say about the way that we are managing Mother Earth? They would say that we are in a constant state of tension. A constant state of tension between what they like to call the axis of evil against the trinity of hope. And what is the axis of evil? The axis of evil is the culture of violence. We very often refer to it as the weapons of mass destruction. The axis of evil is the culture of waste. We can call it the weapons of mass consumption, unthinking consumption. The culture of manipulation, you can call that the weapons of mass deception, and how these kinds of weapons influence people's minds and thoughts. We had two laureates that exposed, for example, Edward Snowden, and earlier the Pentagon papers by our laureates, to show how, in fact, so much deception is going on in the world itself about the truth and the truth. And now you have fake news and other things that operate. So this is the axis of evil that is operating. But what is the Trinity of Hope? They say the Trinity of Hope is, first of all, a culture of balance and harmony. Balance and harmony. If you look at the Right Livelihood College logo, which is behind me here, you will see the yin and yang, which is the symbol of balance, of harmony. It's actually a scientific symbol of the link between the heavens and the earth, and it represents the shadow. If you put a pole, the shadow that the sun makes on earth over 1 year, and it oscillates, and you get this figure S, and they joined the circle around it to symbolize unity and to show balance and harmony between the heavens and the earth. And the second thing is, they talk about a culture of stewardship, that we are guardians of Mother Earth, that we are caretakers, that we have a trusteeship kind of role in this place. It's not something that we own, yeah, that we can do as we like and destroy as we like. We are only stewards and carers. And the third culture of hope is the culture of accountability. And accountability, kind of mindset that thinks not just of legal systems of the present, but also thinks about the future generations. There's a group, for example, of Native Americans that talk about 7 generations. The impact, every time they do something big, they talk about 7 generations and the impact it will have on 7 generations. So that kind of future thinking. And also this accountability, this idea of the accountability for the future to future generations, and that's extremely important. Also an accountability to your spiritual self. You would say an accountability to your conscience and the awareness of that particular conscience. And what can we do when we have to manage these two major tensions that seem to be a constant in the world? With every birth, with every change of government, with every exercise that human beings do, we seem to move into a new contestation of these two, the axis of evil and the axis of the Trinity of hope. Trinity of hope, and this constant challenge is there. So unless you have good people, unless you have people who have that courage, the conscience and the competence, right, you will not win in this particular battle of the two. So what can we do? The Right Livelihood Award and the Right Livelihood College is a platform to address these kinds of issues, to address these issues of the triple peace that I talked about, to ensure that the Trinity of hope is encouraged and can grow and can deal with those axes of evil that I talked about earlier. And you can define some of the work that we do in many, many ways. For me, one of the useful things that I have found is to talk about some of the negative things that operate around us. And if you are aware of them, then you can deal with the problem. If you don't know what the problems are, you can't give a solution. And this would be something very special that Mahatma Gandhi gave us. He was associated with it. It was called the 7 sins against humanity. I have developed them into 11 to take care of some of the current issues. Politics without principle, wealth without work, enjoyment without conscience, knowledge without character, business without morality, science without humanity, religion without compassion. And I've added rights without responsibilities, power without accountability, development without sustainability, and laws without justice. These 11, they make, like, if you put the word 0 in between, 101 of basically the kind of problems that we fundamentally have to deal with. I want to share with you also, when we talk about what we can do, the Right Livelihood College has been rewarding, recognizing people who are very special. And they are, in a way, the symbol, the stars of the world. And I want to share these things by talking in terms of 5 symbols and 5 particular symbols. And the first one of them is the star. And the star represents very specifically, projects of hope. These are the stars, the Right Livelihood awardees, who are also fellows of the Right Livelihood College, which is a rather unusual arrangement that everyone who wins the award is also a fellow of a college, where they feel engagement with universities and academic learning institutions become a center. So they speak about these projects of hope. It is better to light a candle than just curse the darkness. Yeah? That kind of people who are positive. Then there are people who always give supporting solutions that is show that it can be done. If there is a will, there is a way. There are people like that. The third point of that 5-pointed star are those that walk the talk. So talk is cheap, but moving into action is a paradigm shift. And we have these laureates, the Right Livelihood laureates, who walk the talk. The fourth one is very special too. It's called realizing the impossible, because many things that they took up were never thought of. I think it was Einstein who said that really great ideas are those that at first seemed very impossible. For example, we had an international code to stop all multinationals in the world to stop advertising infant formula in the world for the 6 months. And we succeeded. I mean, if one says, oh, can you stop all the multinational corporations of the world to stop advertising a product from which they make billions of dollars? And we say, it's impossible. But we did it, yeah? It was done by the International Baby Food Action Network. And the fifth part of the star is also where where we honor courage, people who really stand up, stand up and speak truth to power. They stand up for justice. So these 5 points of the star, these are the kind of people that make the essence. So each of them is a living library, each of them is an inspiration of one of these 5 kinds. So that makes it a star. We will have many, many stars of these kinds from all over the world. The second is a flower, a 5-petal flower. And I use this 5-petal flower to remind the people of 5 very core values of our vision. And these 5 core values are ecological sustainability, social justice, participatory democracy, economic productivity, not casino capitalism. I mean real economic productivity where you produce healthy things that are meant for civilization, for use, not wasteful kind of economics. And the 5th is cultural vibrancy, that recognizes all our diversity and our beauty in music and poetry and engagement and all those wonderful things. So these 5 petals of the flower represent a kind of image, a kind of Panchasila of good governance and good places. The third symbol that I want to share is a wheel. A wheel. And this wheel, I call it the wheel of power. And there are 5 spokes to this wheel. I call it the power of 5, or the Panchasila of power. Panchasila means 5 principles in the Sanskrit language. And this is the power of 1. If you look at history, individuals can make the difference. They can begin movements. They can themselves, by taking up the challenge, make a difference. But at the same time, the power of many, when we get together, get all the like-minded people together, do our crowding of people so that we can also have the strength of many. And we build up now through internet networking or through a whole range of ways where we organize ourselves, because some of the structures we have to deal with are large and well organized, and to deal with them we have to organize ourselves. The third power is the power of information. We can have systems in the world where they control information. We must generate our own sources of information, our own links, where we can get the kind of information that should be spread to humanity. And we can engage ourselves, we can share with people all the best things that are going on in the world today. And this power of information and the ability to link immediately, anytime, anywhere with anyone gives you again a whole new power of information. And the third wheel is the power of what I call the halo, the power of international institutions and also spirituality. All the global days, for example, World Earth Day, World Mother Earth Day as it is called, now even the United Nations, as a result of people power, have recognized the world as Mother Earth, and it is the vocabulary of the United Nations. You have World Human Rights Day, all these things as a result of people power, and they have been adopted by we can use all these instruments now as part of our work. There are international conventions, and these are conventions again that we can begin to use. So we have a whole range of inspirational things from our own religions, like the golden rule: treat other people like you want to be treated. These kinds of elements are very, very strong. So we can draw from this halo of international conventions of our spiritualities. And lastly, the fifth is something that too easily is forgotten, and this is the power of success. Everywhere where we have made a change, where we have made a difference, where people have stood up, they must be remembered. We must celebrate them. We must tell their stories. We must have films on them. We must have poetry about them. We must have books on them. We must continue to celebrate every moment that we have about them, because there's nothing like success to inspire other people. And also to tell people who say it cannot be done, you say, no, it can be done. People have already done it. And this way, it inspires and it multiplies. The third symbol is a symbol of the triangle. And I use this particular symbol of the triangle to remind us that there are certain kinds of things that you need if you want to make change. One is the 3H, the head, the heart, and the hand. If you want to make transformational change, you need all these three. I very often say you need your PhD, but you also need your BST. That's blood, sweat, and tears. That's the heart people. The heart people. And then you may have the best brains, but may have the best heart. But you cannot make change unless you also have a GTD. And the GTD means the getting things done people, or the getting things done skills. And it's these three, the head, the heart, and the hand, that combine together to give us the strength of making the kind of change that we want. The triangle also represents a very important element, and this is the three generations. The generation that is in the middle, the youth, that is always coming in and changing and becoming the disruptors and making the world again move, and the older people who have the wisdom, the experience, the pain, who can remind us about all the things that have happened in the world. And I think it's this three generations who have to also connect in various kinds of ways if we want to make a transformational change. The last one, I have a symbol here that is a Sufi symbol. And you represent something very special. The straight line represents the fact that we must have the straight path, our conscience, and the correct things that always must be fundamental to us. But the way of reaching the final objectives, you have to be creative, you have to be flexible. All kinds of journeys can be taken to achieve the end. And you must have that kind of openness and that creativity if you want to make change. I want to also share with you that in all our battles, if we don't ourselves personally have a certain way of behavior, our own way of living, we ourselves will get tired, we get burnout. And I want to suggest 7 chakras, which are called like life elements of people who want to make transformational change, and you want to build up inner strength to make that change. And these 7, the first one is something that's become so attractive now everywhere, which we had forgotten. And that's the simple art of breathing. The world has forgotten to take deep breaths anymore. Pollution has been so bad that sometimes we just don't bother breathing. We have to learn breathing, and now you find things like yoga, tai chi, all these things are proliferating, and just the idea of a deep breath, now is very special. And the culture of deep breathing has come back again, and how it energizes you and makes you very much more alive. The second culture is, of course, simple exercising. The whole culture of just walking and moving and keeping all your parts going. We have moved into a culture that is so sedentary, and because of this sedentary culture, we forget about moving. Now there are all kinds of things that you can even do exercise of when you are even sitting down, in terms of your fingers and legs and everything else. The third chakra is munching, something that we lost along the way. People ate food and chewed it properly and went into your body. But unfortunately, with the Industrial Revolution, people became less and less moving. They became more sedentary. At the same time, there was too much meat and too much food, and people just began to eat all those kinds of things. And they will not chew it properly. The whole world now is recognizing that chewing your food in your mouth until it disappears in your mouth is the way to go. If you do that, you will find you have all the food you need, you have the fullness that is necessary, and it doesn't go and become a rubbish dump in your stomach, which is what's happening, and happening so badly that we find now that we have nearly as many or even more people who are suffering from obesity and all the diseases that go with obesity, as we have people who are suffering from hunger and malnutrition. You can see a world of nearly 1 billion people in each of this, all because of our bad eating habits in one case, and not giving the essential foods there. One even waste. I mean, we have that the waste of food in the world itself is shocking. It's one of the big tragedies. The other thing that also people are forgetting is the culture of smiling and laughing. And people all over the world are now again coming up and saying, hey, we forgot to laugh. They're starting laughter clubs in order to encourage us. And what beauty it does to your own thinking. You'll find if you do a laughter, it makes you feel so happy, your brain's so light, and and then you feel encouraged and inspired, and so that is the point. And the fifth element is the element of listening. And I share with you, which is the poster at the back also, it's the Chinese word for listening. It consists of 3 characters, very interesting. It consists of the ear, it consists of the eye, and it consists of the heart. And the culture of really listening, this is called deep listening, the eye with the ear and also with the heart, which is very special. And that culture of listening is very special. The next one is lifelong learning. It's something that people who are involved in educational institutions think that, okay, once I've completed my lessons, that's the end. I don't have to worry anymore. But lifelong learning is essential because the world is changing at such a rapid pace that if you are not careful, the world will change and you will be left behind and you will be nothing. So this culture of learning, treat the whole, if you want to grow, treat the whole world as a garden. If you want to learn, treat the whole world as a university. The 7th chakra is the word empathy. Empathy. The way we have to touch with other living things in the world. If you lose empathy, then you lose yourself. You lose everything that makes us peaceful and makes us a human being. Every culture respects the golden rule. The golden rule, treat other people like you would like to be treated. If you make that as part of your culture, then you become a real human being and you can be the strong persons who make change. I also ask you to look at this book, which is what the Right Livelihood College and the Foundation has produced recently. It's available on the internet. It's called The Right Livelihood Way, a source book for change makers. In it, I share many ideas of all the laureates and people who are making a difference in the world. I thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to working with you. Keep in touch with me. Let us work together to make a better world. Thank you.